Hello everyone, NoahNovels here, and welcome back to my Revue Starlight episode discussion and analysis videos. Today we will be going over episode 4 of the anime titled Promise Tower. With that being said, let's hop into the discussion of the episode. The episode begins with a dream flashback showing Karen and Hikari's exposure to the play Starlight as children, which is when their promise to become stars and perform it together was born. We get a quick reminder of how things left off at the end of the third episode, aka not fun, before Karen wakes up and notices that Hikari is not in their shared dorm room. Roll opening. Karen bugs, well, pretty much everyone as she goes on a mad search for Hikari, before the goat Nana asks if she's tried calling her. Karen rewards Nana for this groundbreaking idea by saying "banana nice" and calls Hikari, who does pick up but doesn't say anything. Karen does hear the sound of a train from where Hikari is, however, meaning that she is off campus. Despite the warnings from the other girls, Karen rushes off campus to find her missing childhood friend. She texts her trying to figure out where she is, only for Hikari to respond with a vague, blurry picture of her location. Karen, well, she tries her best. Keep in mind, this is the same girl who thought to look in the bathtub currently being used by Maya for Hikari before attempting to even call her, so she's probably gonna have to work on this hunt for Hikari a bit. As Hikari just vibes with some jellyfish, Karen enlists the help of a child who helps her realize the picture was taken at an aquarium. Karen goes to an aquarium, only to receive a selfie from Hikari showing that she is at the wrong aquarium. Hikari leaves the aquarium she's at, Karen arrives at another aquarium, and then Karen gets a text from Hikari showing that the princess is in another castle. That is to say, Hikari is at a different aquarium now. As Karen waits at a train station, she gets a text from Hikari asking why she lost to Maya in the Revue audition at the end of episode 3. Karen reflects on how it seemed like her and Maya weren't even on the same stage, before Hikari responds, calling her an idiot. Isn't friendship great? I do like how this calmer, slower paced scene shows that the loss to Maya in the Revue of Pride still weighs heavily on Karen's mind. Since she's acted like her normal, happy, and upbeat self from the start of this episode, it could be easy to think that Karen simply brushed off her defeat like it was no big deal. But defeat or failure can be an understandably discouraging thing, especially when you're on a mini winning streak before getting completely overpowered like Karen was. So it makes sense that she hasn't quite recovered from the shock of it all. But she's not going to let that shock over her defeat to Maya stop her from being her usual motivated and happy-go-lucky self. She knows that failure and defeat is important in life. We might have already seen a previous Revue audition revolving around that concept. She knows that failure isn't the end of the line that so many see it as, and that there's always more chances to learn from your losses to become an even better version of yourself, which is why, despite her feeling shocked or disappointed over her defeat to Maya in the previous Revue audition, we still see her carrying on as she always has up to this point. I feel like some people might mistake Karen's unwavering optimism and upbeat energy as just being a generic, happy-go-lucky main character, but I think there's a lot more to her than that. We've seen thanks to the end of episode 3 and a bit in this scene that she does experience sadness or feelings of disappointment upon loss like anyone else probably would, but she chooses to overcome those feelings to stay true to what she believes in and make the most out of her situation, and I think that's admirable, and it's one of the many reasons I love Karen Nijo as a character. After being called an idiot, Karen asks Hikari what she should have done, to which Hikari responds that she doesn't know. And I really like this vulnerable moment where Hikari says that she truly doesn't know either, and asks Karen what they should do. It's such a stark contrast to the usual cold and apathetic demeanor she's shown towards Karen in the previous episodes. And if it somehow hasn't dawned on viewers yet, it does a great job of showing that Hikari isn't just an unfeeling jerk who doesn't want Karen to compete in the Revue auditions for the hell of it. There's clearly a reason she cared so desperately about preventing Karen from participating in the Revue battles, which can be seen at her distress over their current predicament now that Karen is an official participant in the Revues and has lost an audition. Karen tries calling Hikari again, who picks up and asks if she remembers their Starlight. Back at Saisho, we get a fun scene between Karuko and Futaba who are discussing the nature of the Revue auditions which they're both participants in. Karuko expresses surprise that Futaba began participating in them without telling her, and brings up the idea that they will one day have to go up against each other in a Revue audition. Karuko asks Futaba to let her win when that happens, to which Futaba does not agree. It's only a small scene, but I like how it further cements the relationship that these two characters have and shows the currently small cracks in said relationship, which will become the main focus of episode 6. Karoko, being the silly little troublemaker that she is, then tries to get Karen and Hikari in trouble for being off campus without permission, but is promptly stopped by Mahiru. This scene, while just being entertaining, does show the lengths Mahiru will go to for Karen, and her jealousy of Hikari for having Karen's attention, which will become important in the next episode. I like that this episode, while clearly having the main focus be on Karen and Hikari, still takes the time to further establish these characters and their personalities before they get episodes focusing on them. Back to Karen, she tells Hikari how she remembers their promise regarding Starlight and that it's the main reason she entered Saisho Music Academy in the first place. And Hikari begins talking about her time away at the Royal Academy of Theatrical Actors in London. We get a really nice scene of them walking around and talking on the phone, talking about each other, their separate educations, plays or musicals they've seen, and other stuff. Just normal friend talk. And it's so refreshing to see that they still have this close bond with each other and are able to talk about mundane but meaningful things as friends do after their awkward relationship the past few episodes because of Hikari's cold demeanor. Hikari talks about how she remembers their promise regarding Starlight as well, and that she was worried that she was the only one who remembered. Karen responds saying she could never forget that, and the two begin reminiscing about their promise and what it means to them. Karen goes on to talk about how they always had faith that the promise they made would come true, but she lacked the passion it took to become a stage girl up until recently. I really love that Karen acknowledges how she was before the end of episode 1, and how she's changed. I think one of the biggest downfalls when it comes to backsliding and becoming complacent is a lack of awareness. Never realizing you had a problem and taking your current motivated or passionate mindset for granted can lead to an eventual backslide. Because if you don't realize you had a problem, how do you prevent yourself from entering that problematic state again? I'm not saying knowing your difficulties or problems guarantees you'll never fall victim to them again, but being able to recognize what you want to work on regarding yourself is the first step to improving yourself, rather than just enjoying a temporary state of content with yourself before going back to how you were. Anyways, I'm starting to sound like a self-help book, and I am not in any way qualified to give people advice on how to live their lives and work on themselves. I'm just offering my 2 cents on what this scene means to Karen, and I kinda let it get away from me. The point I was trying to make before starting that tangent is that Karen realizes she was complacent, lacking the passion and drive to become a stage girl and fulfill her promise to Hikari. And it takes a lot to be able to acknowledge past mistakes or what you've done wrong, and I think it's a good step to prevent falling back into past mistakes or bad habits. So to summarize, Karen Ijo, goated character. Anyways, back to the actual story. Karen talks a bit more about her experience with the Revue auditions and her recently reignited passion and love for the stage, before arriving at Tokyo Tower, a place of great significance to both Karen and Hikari. And I just really quickly want to appreciate how good this shot is. Karen runs past this low-quality background Hikari before said Hikari grabs low-quality Karen's attention, and the pair are now reunited. Back at Saisho, we see Claudine practicing alone before Maya invites herself in, and the two practice dancing while talking about each other, and specifically why it is that Maya decides to participate in the Revue auditions when she's already the top star in pretty much every other aspect of her life. Sadly for Hikari and Karen, the aquarium at the Tokyo Tower is closed, so they decide to have a little heart-to-heart outside instead. Hikari opens up about the auditions, saying that if you fail to pass them, you lose the most important thing for a stage girl. While we're not told in this moment what that is, that'll come later, it's here we fully understand why Hikari has acted the way she has to Karen the past few episodes leading up to this. She wasn't being a selfish person trying to stop a former friend from participating in these spectacular-looking revues. She was trying dearly to keep Karen uninterested and uninvolved in them because she doesn't want to see her childhood friend lose what's so important to a stage girl. Karen announces to Hikari that she won't lose to anyone again, noting that she's getting better day by day, but Hikari says only one person can pass the auditions. However, Karen refutes that by saying that they will pass together, since the giraffe never said specifically that only one person could pass. Hikari doesn't believe that they would both be able to pass with such a flimsy loophole, but Karen reaches out her hand and... the unwavering determination of someone ready to pursue their passion, even in the face of a cruel and unforgiving system like the top star system of the Revue auditions. That determination she sees in her childhood friend convinces her that they can make this shared dream between the two of them happen. I love this scene for a couple reasons. First of all, it's just a really great, uplifting, and emotional scene. Seeing Karen, who just suffered a crushing defeat at the end of the last episode, still so full of passion and determination, Reaching out to Hikari, who feels like she failed to keep her friends safe from the world of the Revues. I don't know, I think it's beautiful. Especially when they stand together on the top of the slide and look together at Tokyo Tower. While Karen's determination to essentially make the rules of the Revue auditions work how she wants them to, specifically in regards to having it be possible for 2 people to win them, could be seen as naive or simple-minded, I think it's a great indicator of how strong of a character she is. While she hasn't been a part of the Revue world for long, so she hasn't had as much time to have her spirit crushed as the other girls per se, she has suffered loss and defeat up to this point. And as we saw at the very end of episode 3 and in some parts of this episode, it's a loss that really rattled her, but despite that, she's still pushing forward to make her dream and promise with her childhood friend a reality. If she didn't suffer any defeat, or if she did but clearly wasn't affected by it in any way, I'd be inclined to call Karen a bland character at this point, but that's not the case. She's just incredibly strong-willed and passionate, even in the aftermath of a brutal loss that left her feeling defeated. She is how we should all be in pursuing what we love or what we do. And as we see more of the Revues and what they can do to stage girls, I think that is an extremely important main character to have. Another reason I love this scene is how it makes it very clear that Hikari clearly has had some experience beforehand with the world of the Revue auditions, considering her knowledge on what they are and what they can take from a stage girl. It's setting up the eventual episode where we see Hikari's backstory and said experience with the Revues, without being obnoxious or obvious about it. Not calling attention to it, just putting seeds of foreshadowing here and there to make it more satisfying when we do see it all. I like the way Revue Starlight lets us see the world of the Revues, form our own opinion or conception of them for a bit, before eventually showing the ugly truth of it all. But that's a topic for later episodes. I just wanted to mention how I enjoyed how the show is going about, slowly revealing that Hikari does have prior experience with the Revue auditions. And while we may not know exactly what it is that the auditions take away from a stage girl upon failing, we do know that it's extremely important, which ups the stakes for them going forward. I like that the show doesn't decide to tell us viewers right away what it is the Revues do to the stage girls, but it does let us know the importance of it, which makes it so we take them in a more serious light going forward. Not that they weren't serious or important already, but we do now know that there's greater stakes beyond simply losing a series of underground auditions. Being able to raise the stakes while not revealing all your cards is pretty good storytelling, and good storytelling is Revue Starlight's nickname, so it makes sense that it pulled it off so well. Back at their dorms, the rest of the girls put together a pretty funny and ingenious plan to hide the fact that Karen and Hikari are still off campus, which seems to work. And the next morning, Karen and Hikari return. After getting called out by their teacher for being absent with a promise of hardcore training for Karen, Hikari, and everyone else who covered for them, we get a really great scene of all the other girls welcoming Karen and Hikari back, fully showing the camaraderie between this group of people who are all passionate about the art of theater. Even in a broken and harsh system like the one of the top star in the Revues, these stage girls are able to find comfort and happiness in one another's company. And again, that's how it should be for people passionate about the same thing. Even if it can turn into a cutthroat competition among people due to forces beyond our control, we should be able to have a sense of community as people all passionate about the same thing. Upon hearing everyone greet her and Karen back, Hikari responds saying, "I'm home," and all the girls go off to enjoy the precious time they have before the hardcore training which will destroy their souls begins. Also, I'm just noticing this now and can't think of what sentence in this script to put this detail in between, so I'm just gonna do it now and talk about things out of order because that's the mark of a creative scriptwriter, if your definition of creative is mediocre. But anyways, right before Karen and Hikari come back, it's shown that Mihiru apparently was waiting outside the entire time for them, having fallen asleep and being woken up by their arrival. Again, just another nice little way of showing just how much Mihiru cares for Karen, which is extra important to establish since the next episode will be focusing on Mihiru, of course. For the ending song, we are treated to a version of Fly Me to the Star with both Hikari and Karen singing this time around, and their voices work really well off each other. Given I really love every version of Fly Me to the Star we're gonna hear, but this one especially is one of my favorites. And having it be Hikari and Karen this time is a cute way of showing their restored relationship and newfound determination. Last episode, it was just Hikari singing, and the relationship between Karen and Hikari was probably at its worst point yet. But after this episode explored both of their characters and their relationship, ending with them determined to succeed together like they promised to as children, hearing them sing Fly Me to the Star together is a beautiful representation of these two characters and their relationship, and it's a great way to end the episode. As always, thank you so much to everyone for watching this video. Please tell me down below in the comments what you thought of this video and my analysis or interpretation of episode 4 of Revue Starlight. Is there anything you disagree with, anything I missed, or anything I said that you agree with and want to expand upon? As I've been saying, there's much to discuss with Revue Starlight, and I'm sure I didn't catch everything, try as I may, so I'd love to talk about this great show in the comments with everyone. If you do want to see more videos from me, primarily being visual novel reviews and other anime-related content, please consider subscribing to my channel and checking out some of my other videos. As usual, thank you very much to OtakuBox for his great editing on these videos. A link to his channel is in the description, and I highly recommend checking out some of the content he has to offer on his channel. Once again, thank you to everyone for watching, and until the next video, see you guys.